The key elements of a parenting plan really fall into two areas. One is time sharing, and the other is decision making. Time sharing. First of all, you have a regular rotation. What are just general weekdays and weekends going to look like on a 52-week rotation? And then there's special time, holidays, vacations, birthdays, any family celebrations. You have to decide how you're going to divide it up and what that's going to look like. Decision making, these are high-level decisions about the kids. Things like where they go to school, who their doctors will be, whether or not they're going to be in therapy, when they get older, driving decisions, curfews, discipline. For instance, if one parent decides that a child is grounded for a period of time, is that child also grounded in the other parent's house? And how are you going to talk about that? When thinking about special time in a parenting plan, there are really two ways to go about it. One is to basically identify what the holidays and vacations that you and your family celebrate. And the other is to determine whether or not you want to alternate that, or if you just want to assign some to one parent and the other to the other parent. By all means, most people choose the alternating thing, but a lot of people also think there's value in having every Thanksgiving or every Easter or every Christmas so that they can develop a new family tradition around that, because the family tradition is changing. It's not going to be the same as it was when you were an intact family. So it's really up to you. Alternate or come up with new traditions. So once you have a parenting plan in place, there probably will be times that you disagree about how to implement it. Maybe you want to swap weekends and the other person doesn't want to, or you think that your child should go to school A and the other person thinks school B. You need to put in place a way to resolve those conflicts, and the way shouldn't be running off to court at first blush. So lots of times people put in place to come back to mediation if they've started in some alternative process. Other times people work with something called a parenting coordinator, and the parenting coordinator could be just a facilitator of a conversation, but you could also give that person the power to make recommendations. Also, sometimes people go to a relevant professional in the field of disagreement, a medical professional, an educational counselor, and find a way to resolve the conflict there. Ultimately, if you can't resolve it and it's big enough of a conflict to really need a resolution, then you can always make an application either in the family court or back in the Supreme Court and ask a judge to make a decision about the best interests of your child under these circumstances. One caveat I do want to say is that high conflict is the worst thing for kids. High conflict between parents, divorcing parents, and divorced parents. So consider that the wrong decision might be better for your child than continuing to fight about it. A parenting plan needs to be flexible because life happens and kids grow up and they have different needs. But it's also really important to have a plan that you plan on doing. Because if you can't agree on who gets this weekend or next weekend or this holiday or that holiday, if you have a written down default plan that specifies that, it gives you somewhere to go that isn't just fighting. So I always have our clients come up with a pretty detailed plan for the regular rotation, for the special time, for decision making, what they're going to do if they disagree. And then I say, hopefully, you're going to put this plan in a drawer and never look at it again. Because when you pull it out, it will only be for one of two things. One, you're angry. And when you're angry, your prefrontal cortex is offline, and it is really hard to understand any kind of nuance. So this needs to be black and white. This is clear. This person gets Thanksgiving, that person gets Thanksgiving. Or it needs to be really clear to a stranger, a judge who's trying to interpret this, what the two of you thought was in the best interest of the children at the time you signed this agreement. If you have any questions about how to create the best parenting plan for you and your family, please do not hesitate to contact us at Miller Law.